Hello all. Right, the main focus of the Q&A today is going to be Lutons versus long wheelbases, and is Bristol a good area to run out of? But of course there'll be all the usual suspects and all that. But of course before we go into that, well done Molly, who's made it through to the 4th round of Interior Design Masters with Alan Carr on BBC One Wednesday at 9 o'clock. She's getting there. Getting there, kind of thing. So, yes, long may it continue. So, if there's the other channel, the Molly channel, and all that. In case anyone's interested, she does the post-match analysis and all that. Her mum's doing the interviewing, as it turns out, because she's better at it and I'm busy. Saintsman, the small van courier says, "Hi Pete, just wonder if you can confirm something for me. I was merrily driving from Hatfield to Hounslow on Wednesday and went past the Shell garage on the A414, and I'm sure I saw a large poster of your daughter Molly. Mind you, I had been driving for hours. Have you been out slapping posters up? Love the videos. Cheers, Saintsman." I haven't seen it. Wasn't not guilty, although I missed a trick there, didn't I? But if anyone has seen this poster and wants to ping me a picture, I would be intrigued. She's kind of getting there. It's weird with this social media thing. You kind of think that when you're on a TV that suddenly you're going to be sort of mega. And I think on her YouTube she's got like 25 subscribers. So, but Alan Carr's put pictures on his Twitter of cushions that she's done and candles that she's done, and her mate Julia's done it. And I guess it's kind of a long road. I mean, I've been doing this stuff for 5 years now, so I think about 5 years with the market things. I just wish you the best of luck, and thanks very much for your kind words. Also, on the subject of where my channel's going, a few people, Tiffy, a lot of people have said about the idea of a day in the life. Ian Merrick says, great thought for the day in the life is a good idea. He says, regarding getting your own end users, it would be really useful. No other courier vlog does that. A video of a chat with a professional customer would be really useful. Otherwise, the world is going to keep revolving around the CX. Potential customer gets exposure in your audience, get another customer and some useful content to grow your audience. I don't know how it's going to pan out, Ian, to be honest with you, but what I will probably do, I'm trying to make more use of that second camera. I've got a video coming out on Thursday about how to replace the straps on a lorry. And I managed to do that with 2 cameras. And I'm thinking of buying a third. Because the camera on the phone, I kind of need the phone when I'm driving, because it's like my sat nav, so I can't really use it as a camera. And you need a camera on you, and you need a camera on the road, and then you can do picture in picture. Little box over here. And I've done one on that as well. I've been mucking around with it a little bit, like I did one on the approach to Dartford Tunnel. Get that one out soon. But I'll give me a little bit longer. I'm still catching up on all the past videos on my little black book, which is now my little brown book. And once I've done that, probably on the lead up to Good Friday, because it's only 4 days on the lead up to Good Friday, I'm planning, because that way I can do the video and then I've got plenty of time to put it together. But I'm getting there, guys. I'm getting there. So, but, and also, by the subject, which if I'm going to do that, I might change the times over. So we might do like the Life on the Road goes out like Saturday evening, Sunday Q&A, Sunday evening, and then we'd put the other videos out during the week. But obviously the Sunday Q&A will always be available early, as is at the moment as a podcast. Here's the graphic. Sorry, Nick. On all of these things. So if you can't be bothered to sit and watch this right now, feel free to listen to it. It's on all your Audibles, Apple, Spotify's, all that. If you just type in Peter Courier Driver, and you can listen to it while you're driving, because let's face it, it's just my face, isn't it? I'm not bringing a lot to the party here. So, right, Luton versus long wheelbase. Quite a lot of comments on this, actually. Alan Braces, cheers, appreciate you take the time to answer. Alan, I'm just sorry it took so long. Where that lorry going sideways, it kind of threw me sideways a bit. So, right, so I am catching up. Android Lloyd says, if it's a double axle, then I suppose a long wheelbase can take 1,400 kilos. We have a problem with the double axles, because like the Sprinters tend to be single axles. The Transits, they're double axles. Problem is, as soon as you put a double axle on it, although it can handle the weight better, you've suddenly got 2 extra tyres. And each one of those tyres probably weighs what? With a wheel and a tyre, what, 50 kilos? So you've instantly got 100 kilos on the van. Franz, hello mate, how you doing? I haven't spoke to you for a little while. Franz Waltz says, I think you're missing the point. These vans can carry more, but then they go over 3.5 ton limit, and you need no license, and you have to run a tackle. Double axle will just adds to the weight. He's right, yeah. So although the actual vehicle can handle the weight better because it's designed, because you can spread the load on the 4 tyres on the back, the vehicle becomes heavier. So physically, it can carry less weight. Godzilla says, if it's not a 3.5 tonner, he says they can haul it easy enough. A couple of 3-ton sprinters are given with the right axle, but it's about being legal. The average 3.5 ton van will haul around a ton. My old 3.3 with a fat lump in the front. Oh, sorry, mate. I said, sure, I thought you meant the engine. Half a tank of diesel, tools and all the nonsense I carry around with me, weighed in at 2,550. So I was only good for 950 kilos. And he goes on. It's quite a long one, but it's worth it, I think. Long wheelbase system. Now, this is just him. I'm reading this, but I know what he's talking about. It says long wheelbase is where you find the cowboys. Don't scream at me if you've got a long wheelbase. We'll have a discussion in a minute. He does say long wheelbase. Sorry, it just is. And it's not every long wheelbase. So everyone's going, oh, mine's clean. Yeah, all right. For every 314 polished 314 on man, lovingly looked after, as an asset to the business, there's some shady geezer with an 06, mostly rusty Sprinter, will go anywhere. If it weighs 3 ton, then oh well, running on red and taxes in the post. Lutons seem to be much more professional. You get a lot of work listed as a Luton, and you could fit a medium wheelbase. It will fit a medium wheelbase for the very reason. You demonstrate that you have a tail lift, a pump truck, including full PPI, glasses, helmet, straps, etc. This is exactly how I used to work, yeah. It's the tool that fits all jobs. If there's doubt, call for a Luton. Luton can get a premium asking 70 quid on a job that should be 40 in a long wheelbase, where it's possible in a long wheelbase, but you're the only one bidding on it. Sprinters, 3 foot longer than a Luton, so they're a bigger pain to live with, but they do around 6+ miles to gallon more. Sprinters 2 foot shorter, bridges get ignored. Hang on, I'm kind of losing this here. Sorry, mate, but I think it's a point. It's just for every van. There's good and there's pros and cons to each van. But I mean, I always said the thing about a Luton is he's kind of right. It is, you can do the majority of jobs in a Luton with a tail. You know, if it's a long wheelbase job, you can do it in a Luton. If it's a Luton job, you can't do it in a long wheelbase. And if you do ring up and they say, what have you got? I've got straps, I've got blankets, I've got corners, I've got a pallet truck, I've got helmet, I've got safety boots. They kind of go, guy knows what he's doing. We'll just send this one in, as opposed to send someone in, turns up, and they've appeared with a milk float. That probably never happens. Range anxiety. Jeremy Hawke says, I agree with you, Pete. If you're running pallets on vans, you need a curtain cider Luton. The days of putting pallets out of a van with a strap and a forklift have gone. Furthermore, I'm too old to act as a counterweight between the strap pallet and the forklift. Yeah, there's been some interesting and hairy moments with me getting pallets on my box Luton because I didn't have a curtain side, but it's much easier with a tail lift and a pump truck, isn't it? Yeah, just if the pallets were too big. Paul Harrison says, very few can run with 1,400 kilos unless you've got an O licence. I did actually, back in the day on the markets, have an ex-postal van, which was 5.5 ton. Because I had 2 slots on my operator's licence back then, and it kind of looked like a Luton, but it could run, because a lot of market trader vehicles are overloaded, and this one wasn't, because it was just a tiny little van, and having said that, it was a right royal pain. I wish I'd never bothered with that one. Van on the Run said, there isn't a modern 3,500 MGW long wheelbase van that can legally carry 1,400 load. My van currently has the best on paper payload for a whopping 1,480 kilos. Having had it on several weigh bridges, I can carry 1,100 kilos with a full tank of diesel and me plus my gear. Granted, I do have more gear than most, night heater installation, stuff like that. Without this, I reckon it could be between 1,200 and 1,250 kilos. Medium wheelbase vans usually have the best payload. The medium wheelbase version of my van can get close on 1,400 kilos, assuming it's rated to 3.5 ton. Not all are. There is also short wheelbase or L1 version, but the MGW tends to be lower. as the vans are different, that kind of thing. So he's saying that even on paper, he's got the best payload, but that's probably what they're telling what the van can carry. They're assuming that you weigh the same as a 10-year-old child, and you don't have anything else on the truck. Flask in the front, get rid of that. Radio, whip that one out. Thing to do is get your van, fill it full of diesel, put your gear on, take it to a weighbridge. Then you know what you can legally carry. A lot of the time, it's not really an issue. A lot of the time they will send the van in for the right load. A couple of times I think I haven't been, but on the whole it's always been pretty good. Lee Westcott says, I've looked at a few Luton vans, and what I don't like about them is they look top heavy, and the floor of the vehicle is too high off the ground. To be honest with you, mate, when you drive them you don't even notice. They sway a bit when you go around corners, but other than that, it's all you get. It's one of the things. It's like I've got in the 18-tonner now, particularly when it's empty. I'm driving it like the Mini. I've totally got used to it. But you very quickly get used to what your van can and can't do. Size of the vehicle, length of the vehicle, all that kind of stuff. You pick it up pretty quick. They're not that scary. Adam Drum said, "Is that how do you say it? Adney Drum? Luton long wheelbase and whatever. Right now seems to be a really bad time to look to acquire or change a vehicle. I'm seeing vans well over 10 years old for more than double the adjusted book price Parkers. People are chancers at best, profiteers at worst. Not good for the industry." I think it was to do with the fact that the lockdown meant that them ECU chips didn't get made, and then as a result of which there seems to be a van shortage. But I imagine that's sorting itself out now. The thing I found, like with the lorry, I did one I had to buy a van. Look for everything. Try and extend your range as possible. Try and do countrywide if you can, and eventually a van will jump out at you. And you go, hang on a second, it's only done. It's just done 20,000 miles. That's and everything else, and it's cheaper, and it's really nice. So I'm going to go for that. It should jump out at you. Did with the lorry. I mean, lots of lorries. I was looking at ones for around 12k, and then suddenly I went, well, what about this one? It's 7, and it had done less miles. It didn't have a bed. But I went, and it's Veronica's been lovely. So, terrific. And finally, as Steve Campbell points out, actually, Pete, a ton of foam will have a ton of weight on it. Yeah, okay. It's like that thing you used to do at school. Here's one for you. Can you marry your widow's mother's sister? I'll give you the answer in the end. Right. Is Bristol a good area to run out of? Now, I've always said not the best, not the worst. Leachy001 said, thanks, Pete. I'm in the process of joining the CX right now. I've been checking the live map on a daily basis. Living not far from Brighton across the coast, there seems to be a great deal of work. We'll definitely expand the search area once joined. Brighton, again, not the best, not the worst. Probably on par with Bristol, I'd say. Dale Steele says, this is how I find areas. No, for best. London is best, although the prices are poor. 2, West Yorkshire at the northeast, close to many cities. 3, Birmingham. These are my 3 top areas of volume of work. My 3 top areas, Dale, tend to be that triangle between kind of Milton Keynes, Derby, Coventry. If you kind of draw a circle around that area, that seems to be where the most comes for us. But everyone finds it differently, as I'm finding out by reading this. Tajesh Patel says, Brighton is not the best place on the CX. It's even harder than Bristol. The issue with Brighton is small roads that take forever to get around. This is true. I once had to take something from, I can't remember, like Hove to Eastleigh. It took forever. Of small roads to get around. Yes, jobs seem close. And if you get a job, you can get good money on them, as there's not many other drivers in the area. But travel time of the job is quite a bit. And then it's the jobs into London, which will kill any profits you make. I don't bother with jobs anywhere that side anymore. It totally kills my profits for the day. If you want to join the CX, you're probably better off finding a local shipper. You can get out there or leave the CX now and find someone and can get regular local work off. Either way, I don't think the cost of the CX is worth it, even in the good areas at the moment. Whatever you choose to do, good luck. Yeah, so I don't agree with you about the CX not being great at the moment. We got a testimonial coming. I've been speaking to Luke. Hello again, Luke. And he's emailed it across to me because I told him, he said, do you think it's going to be good? And I said, yeah, I think you're going to, basically on what he told me, I think you're going to be fine, and he's doing it fine. So what he's done is he's pinged me across an email. So now I will take testimonials off everybody on how you find the CX, whether it's good, bad, or indifferent. If you could be bothered to write it in the comments, or I'll put my email address somewhere, ping it across, and that way we can get each individual's person, good, bad or indifferent, of how they went on the CX, and it will give people that are thinking of joining a much better idea, I think. But again, like I say, it's all work in progress. I'm trying to master cameras and video editing at the moment. So, Tall Man Small Van says, I go down to Bristol, the Bristol area quite a lot, including South Wales and Swindon area, and sometimes further down Devon and Somerset. There are a lot of drivers around the area, but I find it can be a mixed bag jobs-wise. It's a bit of luck of the draw. My top areas of the country to get a CX job personally, in no particular order, are Birmingham, the West Midlands, East Midlands, Yorkshire, North West, and anywhere within the M25. Although, as others have said, they normally go for peanuts. Bearing in mind, I'm talking small van job prices here too. So actually, he's saying that, that the Midlands is good, that Birmingham is good. Birmingham's pretty good. You got that zone thing now. For vans, it's not so much. It's not so bad for me. It's 50 quid. Also, this point that Tad just made about end user customers. I mean, ideally, what you really want is you want to find someone in your area that can give you regular work, so that you're guaranteed to get you out there, and then use the CX to get back, which is kind of what it's designed for. The only problem is getting end user customers is not that easy. But I did a video on it. I'll do a link. Good luck. Johnny Van Courier says, hello, mate. He says, hope all is well with you. I also do okay out of Bristol in a small van. I even considered moving there because it was cool. Actually, I quite like Bristol. It's a nice place, very hilly, got cathedrals or big churches or something. My best day ever on the CX was £340 after diesel. That's a good day. I was on a run from Kent to Bristol to Leicester and then back to Bristol and home to Hastings empty. Loads of dead miles and a long day, but 340 quid buys a few, a few future jigsaw pieces for the van. Yes, it does. That's the way I always work on it. I mean, kind of like I've done a couple of jobs recently where I thought I have done a ton of diesel, and then I clock up what I've made for the day and I went, there's absolutely no, that's paid my diesel, that today has paid my diesel bill for the week. So even if it really is, be aware of your bottom line costs. NW Motor crosses Yorkshire says, hi P, I do Sheffield to Bristol regular, it's not bad. But a 2-hour wait, I usually find my way up slowly back to the area. So you get down to Bristol, might have to hang around a bit for a job, but he does actually get out. Van on the Run has done a couple on this as well. He said, I totally agree. Bristol, okay, but not great. I often think it should be better than it is. Big city with plenty of industrial estates. I think if you're willing to tramp, being on the periphery can be the best place to be, especially during quiet periods like this time. It has been up until now, this time of year. I only had a shipper call me once this year as they were struggling to get a job covered. I was in Norwich. If I was in a busy area, the job would have had loads of drivers after it. This is true. Although I've always said I would rather be in an area with 20 drivers and 10 jobs than an area where I was the only driver and no jobs. Because if there are no jobs, you can't get a job. He also says, I find Sussex and Brighton quite a good area. Okay, well, there's your man in Brighton, He said, but you have to be flexible with where you go, as the feed isn't that busy. Like someone else has said, lots of jobs go to London, which can be a pain. He said, you live in a beautiful part of the world, and when I went to tramp in Sussex, it's a nice place to be. I remember I did a job down to, where's that place? Somewhere Brighton way. Hythe. I like Hythe. And you can tip at this industrial estate, and then you literally pull out, turn right and turn left, and you're on the seafront. And if you've got to take your 15-minute break or your 30 minutes, 45 minutes, just sit there and look at the pebbles. See, lovely. Right, and finally on this one, Lee Westcott says, this is one for the guy who asks, is Bristol any good? See if you can get into Cribs doing retail furniture deliveries. I used to do this when I had the Luton van, and Martin put me into this. There's a DFS around us. He would have to deliver about 8 sofas in a day. So you need a second man. And you kind of need a Luton because you've got to get the sofas in. But you could probably do it in a smaller one, but you'd be ferrying all the time. And you basically go in, load 3 or 4 sofas, take them out, do the run. You're in at 4 in the morning, or 5 in the morning. So you're at the first customer by about 7 o'clock, which they're aware of. Get them free off, back to MK. It was always MK, Northampton, Sandy, Bedford. It was never far away, Luton, Dunstable. Get them off and go home. And it was worth £432 for the day. I think presumably that's with a VAT. But so you've got to pay the second man, so you probably got to give him sort of 80 quid or something like that. But it did work out a decent day, and if you were lucky, you could get it done by about 1, 2 o'clock. You do have to build the sofas. But these work is out there. You've got to go looking for it. It's not easy, but you've got to go looking for it. Right, the wise guys. I had a quick chat with Nick, who's the urban trucker who really knows about this stuff. He's doing plant delivery down to, not plant as in diggers, plants, sort of flowers, down to Wales at the moment. But we had a little chat. It's good to speak to him, actually. He write a few bits here. He's having a bit of a rant as well. It's with right, Pete. Now, Steve, I hate to give you this, mate, but I'm just going to give you it from Nick's point of view. I don't know if you're aware of this. I'm sure you probably are. He says for Steve Campbell, it's pointless for him trying to get the transport manager's CPC as he's got a criminal record. You have to wait 10 years after your last conviction before you can be named You can be named on an operator's licence, and even then, this might not be allowed. This is also the case if you've been declared bankrupt. He said to me, so I just don't want a guy wasting his money. So I don't know if you're aware of that, and I'm just going to put it out there. Good luck, mate. So I've got to say, I find this is his rant. I find it amazing that people commit on here that have no experience in the industry and don't even have an HGV licence, yet seem to think that getting an operator's licence is a good idea. He said, I find it insulting that they think that that operating trucks is easy. I spent my whole working life in the industry and was around trucks as a kid. I don't know it all. What hope have these people got? They need to start living in the real world. Another thing that gets my back up, when he's obviously very frustrated driving to Wales and back, is when I see comments like, I'm going to get my wife or girlfriend to do the transport manager's exam when they have no experience. The course is the equivalent of doing an A-level. I'm all for helping people who want advice. Just get some experience first, either by driving a truck for a couple of years or a van and operate like I did, like Pete did, and work your way up. Like a couple of people have said, the vinyl paint thing, this is an interesting point, because I might have to paint the curtains. It still says pallet ways on the side of it. A couple of people have said, get the vinyl paint for your curtains, just Google curtain side of paint, or you could just get a new set of curtains made up. They're not that expensive, especially if you work out the time and money you're going to spend on repairing them, and they've got a few rips in fairness. Especially, I might have to do is... Also, repairing them is a nightmare, as it always ends up looking terrible if you don't have the right heat tool and rollers for the job. And he said, and they're about £400 to buy. You can get curtain patches and glue from Nationwide Trailer Parts. On a lighter note, he says, the firstborn daughter is a mirror image of her father. Your Molly is a lucky lady, mate. Please don't tell me that. She takes after her mum. Her mum's a good. She's got my eyes, which is dead handy because they work. I didn't need these until I was in my 50s. And she's got my confidence, which is probably the best thing I could probably give her. But fortunately, she takes after her mum in the looks department. So, good luck, Mo. Next week. Where's she going next week? Shops next week. BBC 2, BBC 1, Wednesday night, Design Masters, Alan Carr, Molly Coath. Please tune in. Please support the child. Trucks. On to trucks now. Patrick McNicholas. Hi Pete, in my Luton I travel around 230 to 300 miles as a subcontractor and I charge by the mile. When I get my 7.5 tonne, you stick to miles or go to day rate. In a Luton, myself and my son split the driving so we can do a 16-hour day. I'm on 180 a mile, not sure if they pay 360 in a 7.5 tonne. What would you suggest? I think you're doing very well to get 180 a mile in a Luton van. In a 7.5 tonne, we tended to quote between 250. You probably aim for 250 a mile. £2 a mile is cheap, kind of too cheap. £3 a mile you can get, and on a short job you're looking, dependent, very, very, very short job, £100, going up to 200. It's a 7.5 tonne in it. 150, 180 maybe. That's just for the short job price. I would always charge the dearest. So I work out the miles and I will work out my minimum day rate. And if the miles were over my minimum day rate, I would charge by the mile. And if they were under my minimum day rate, or my minimum job rate rather, I would charge minimum job rate. But you'll work it out, mate. You just keep bidding until you find a level. Vina Bactia says, hi Pete, how much should I charge for a 7.5 tonne? Last week had a job from Birmingham to Glasgow, charged £250 a mile. That's right, yeah. If you can get 250 a mile on longer jobs, you don't always. Went up and stayed all day, came back empty. Also, how much would you normally quote for a job like 30 miles, 10 miles, London, ULEZ, thanks. Right, well, like I say, 250 mile is right. Be prepared if you go to Scotland to take anything going anywhere. You've got to do a bit of tramping if you go to Scotland, to Glasgow, really. I don't know where you're from, actually, in fairness. You only got to do tramping if you come from where I come from. London and ULEZ and stuff like that, they don't want to pay the money that you really should charge them. It depends. I mean, I don't even run London because I've got a Euro 5. But normally the job rate going into London is pretty much standard job rate. You might be able to stick an extra 25 quid on top, or 50 quid on top. I wouldn't even consider it unless you're Euro 6. And, well, you don't have to be cambered up in a 7.5 tonne. You only need to be cambered up in 18 tonnes. So only particular 18 tonnes, as Nick the Urban Trucker pointed out to me, which I still haven't gone into London. But that's just because it hasn't pinged up. Yeah, sorry if that was vague. If you could, basically, yeah, you're looking at about 250 a mile, as I said on the last comment. You work it out, mate. Just keep quoting until you get it right. Isaac, everyone's got double names. Says, hello, is the DigiView faster to download? Because that's the DigiView thing, the thing that I use, the black box with a bit that plugs out. No, it's not faster to download. It's just really convenient in the fact that in my bag, I've got a box which is not much bigger than the size of a packet of fags. And I can read the driver's cards on the move, on the hop. I can read the tacho head on the hop. In fact, we've got a lorry coming down. We've got the lorry coming down from Coventry today. I've got to meet the driver up there at 9:30 because it needs a loller and it needs its 8-week inspection. Daniel, keeping up with the 8-week inspections. Also, all the drivers, all the vehicles have got lollers. Kind of let that slip a little bit. Wheel markers are on there as well. So compliance is very good, Daniel. You'll be pleased to know that's Daniel, Superhero Transport Manager, who listens to the show, I hope. And also the cards are looking super clean at the moment, which is great. Where are we? Is it faster? Is it faster? No, it's just a really good piece of kit. It's not the cheapest, but bearing in mind that, I mean, I've got my money out of it already. It's great. Manic Con says, thanks for response, Pete. No problem. I'm doing my class 1 this week, and then my girlfriend's going to get the transport manager's course. Nick will be pleased. I've worked Hermes and Amazon from my own van. Hermes is terrible in the quiet time, as you have to cover 6 days a week, even if there's no money in it for you. Amazon is much better with the daily rate, but you never feel that the gig that you've got it nailed on long term. You should also look at Amazon Relay if you're expanding the business. I know Amazon Relay is out there. The thing about Amazon Relay seems to be with lorries is that they give you all the horrible jobs first, and then if you stick with them, they give you the better jobs. And we're kind of doing okay. So the end users has grown a little bit, although we had to send a 6-axle up to Glasgow. And at the last minute, the price we had got cancelled, and it cost us more money than we made on the job to send it. But hey, that's transport. Right, M4 Productions. I'm doing my transport manager course at the moment. There are 3 exam bodies in the UK that set the exam: OCR, RHA and CLIT. I hope that is an abbreviation. OCR is the biggest examining board out there, and it's the one I've attended for my exams. I'm curious to know about that last one. I'm not even going to go there with my Steve Wright story. One day I'll tell you the Steve Wright story. Not now. Dave Wells says, there's an agency that have external transport managers looking for work. I'm sure there are specific transport manager agencies. I don't know if there is, guys. The wise guys, if anybody knows anywhere, like, I don't know, can you just, I wouldn't say Google transport managers in your area. And I'm sure that if anyone's there, or LinkedIn or something, I don't know. I've got mine because my mate does it and we're cool. Martin. Nice video, Pete. Thanks, mate. I won't suggest you doing a video with cables on board because they're high-value items and you put yourself at risk. About the transport manager, you can be a transport manager and driver, but manager jobs is taken from your work hours, so not for everyone. Yeah, because when you do your transport manager, you have to say how much of your work time are you going to allocate to managing this firm. I think it was like 6 hours, and then if you get another operator, basically you can get up to 10 hours, and that comes out of your working week. So if you're a transport manager, you can't drive. You know, that comes out of your drive time, I think, or something like that. Sure, someone will put me straight on that one. Probably got that one completely wrong. Normally do. On the curtains, Godzilla says you can buy tarp paint in blue easily. It's not cheap, but it does work. It's some sort of rubberized stuff, so there's lots of flex. You don't get our normal paint. The same sorts of paint also vlog you the tarp patch. And Steve Campbell says acrylic paint for the curtain. I think repairing the curtain, get some blue canvas and a hairdryer. I don't know. I'm now thinking, what if the curtains aren't? Maybe it's just better and cheaper to replace them. Or maybe I'll just leave them as it is, I don't know. And finally on trucks, Tony Mason says, hi Pete, how are you finding the auto lorry? Tony, I've got used to it completely. Yeah, lovely. Does anybody know how to do it in manual? I'm sure you do. I'm sure loads of people tell you how to do it in manual. I've not tried it yet. I presume you just click the button that says manual and then you've got one for up and one for down. I might give it a go at some stage and I can do a video explaining how it works. And I haven't forgotten you want to see me reversing it. I will say too that one thing about the difference between a 7.5 ton to an 18 ton. That 7.5 ton you could spin it round on a sixpence. It was like driving a Luton van. Turning around an 18 ton is like trying to reverse an elephant. It's suddenly like, wow, this thing's big. If you get to, unless you, I've got to areas where in a Luton I could just whiz it round in a circle, and I look at it and I go, I'm going to have to do like a 5-point turn to get this thing round out of it. I don't know why it makes a difference, because it's not that much longer. And I'm sure the turning thing is the same. But when you try and spin them round, it's really different, and I don't know why. Cool. Right, miscellaneous. Let's hammer through this. Coffee's getting cold. Why do you carry on drinking it when it's cold? It tastes like coffee, I suppose. John Gunn. I thought it was sound advice. This is on the business thing. Any business owner should be constantly reviewing what they're doing and seeing what works and what doesn't. Shame people miss the message. I think this was when they were screaming at me because I was telling people to drop their prices slightly, but we've gone past that one now. As for the long days, I thought that it was a given for courier work. I'm 12 to 13 hours a day on a multi-drop. Anyway, I just presumed the same day work was the same. Yeah, and it's like the testimonial I've got coming in from Luke. He's earning money, but like he said, I know a load of people are going to say, but when you actually break it down for how many hours you're doing and how much money you're bringing in, it's not that great. But you got to put the time in. He said, I'm single. Anyway, I'll read the testimonial when it's come through, Luke. I will read it out. Like I say, anyone else who wants to throw testimonials at me with their experience of what it was like to run on the Courier Exchange, ping it in. I'll read it out as long as you're not as long as you're not swearing at anybody, and then we'll get a balanced opinion, which is what the channel's all about. Van on the Run says, I agree. The commonly quoted price per mile for different size van, the commonly quoted figures are about right for a 100-mile job. They are not right for shorter jobs, and they're not right for longer jobs. Shorter jobs, obviously, you're going to charge more. So if you're charging £1 a mile and the job's 4 miles, you're not going to charge them £4. Longer miles, you charge less, because you kind of think, well, okay, it's going 400 miles. They're not going to pay £400, but if I charge them £350, I'm still getting £350 for the day when I finish. Like, you do you work it out. And then he says, do you ever worry about losing your access to the HX or something happening like it going bust? It troubles me as I'm getting all my van work, so it's like all my eggs in one basket. No, I don't. Because if it did, we'd just find another way. I did do a video on this recently, apart because I've recorded one. See if I can get it out next week. It was Dale Steele and Lee Westcott, I think, and they asked me a couple of questions. I linked the two together, and it's kind of what would happen if these things disappeared. So we put that one out, but no, you just find another way around it. When the markets went down, I ended up on this. If this went down, I don't know. Drive a telehandler. I like telehandlers. I'll have a go on them. Don't know if it pays a lot. Maybe if I buy my own telehandler. No, just don't even go there. I hate it when I put an idea in my head. Oh, God. Oh, no. Where are we going with that one? Right. And finally, Dale Steele, on the subject of which, hi Pedro, hello mate, thanks, keep up good work, he says, I run a curtain side Luton, and most jobs I'm getting 150 a mile. Long runs I can drop to 125, but anything up to 200 miles I generally get around the 150 mark. I am lucky where I am based, which helps with many cities within a 40-mile radius. Just on the point of backload adverts, I used to ignore them like most drivers did, and I've been on one last week and got extremely good money. The issue wasn't that they weren't looking to pay peanuts. They simply didn't know how to use exchange correctly. So it's always worth a cheeky bid on backload posting. You're dead right. I've done that. I said, yeah, I've done exactly the same thing once, where I looked at this job forever and ever and ever, and I thought, there was nothing else in the area, but it said backload, and I thought, and in the end, I thought, you know what, I'm just going to quote on real money. The guy rung up straight away and said it's yours. And I thought, why didn't I do that 15 minutes ago? So you bid what you are happy with bidding, and they'll say yes or no. John Eccleston says, I was a courier driver, did make a lot of money, was doing Europe. Since Brexit, it's not worth it. What do you think about going back into it, John? I don't know. I never did Europe. I'm ever so sorry. I have to plead ignorance on this one. And now I'm standard national. I don't even go into London, let alone go anywhere. I mean, the only time I've ever been across the waters with foreign countries when I went across the Prince of Wales Bridge. So I can't help you with that one. But other people, if anyone is out there doing the Europe thing, if we can leave some comments, we'll get back to John and let him know. Gitters Nick says, forget Hermes. We're now every now in it, EVRI. It makes you wonder why they spent a lot of money on the advertising campaign and changing their name, unless everyone's going, Hermes. I don't know. I do. Paul Davies says, JCB. No, don't say that. You'll upset Julian. Tajish Patel says, for your comments at 2100, he said, you can't deliver goods and use it to negotiate. When I was late on my multi-drop, but that wasn't my fault. And use it to renegotiate a re-delivery fee. This is why I'm on my last chance on the CX. The CX are looking, so it says about holding goods to ransom. According to the CX, you must deliver the goods and then negotiate with the shipper about waiting time. The CX will advise you to settle the matter in court. Yeah, you're dead right, Tajish. The only time I've never managed to deliver goods is because I've got there and the place is shut or the guy's gone home. And then you ring the shipper and go, look, I'm here. I can't get it off. And then you have to negotiate. I keep saying, we're in this together. On that particular job, the guy phoned me. He lost money. He gave me extra money to re-deliver it the next day, and he lost money. And that did not make me happy. What I want is, I want to get it on. I want to get it there as quickly as possible. I want to get it off. I want to get what I was asked for. I want the shipper to get what he asked for, and I want the customer to be happy, and then everybody wins. But sometimes it doesn't work out that way. But when it doesn't work out that way, you've got to be you're on the phone to the shipper going, I'm here. It's shut. What do you want me to do? I had one last week. I picked up a load of 30 pallets of metal filing cabinets. They were stacked 3 high. Strapping that was fun. And then I had to take it to the metal place, the metal recycling place. I got to the metal recycling place at 4:20. I was in there half an hour early. It took them 2 hours to load me. I got there at 4:20 and I went up to the window and went, and the bloke said, you got no chance, mate. He said, we shut at 4. He said, we're just clearing the backlog. I went, oh, for crying out loud. But fortunately, I'd gone from Milton Keynes to Bedford to the metal place. So then I had to go, and I was heading, so I run the shipper up, and I've gone, here's the situation. And he said, they were supposed to do that job this morning. He said, someone's in for it. He said, bring it back. I said, yeah, I can bring it back. There'll be a re-delivery fee. He went, yeah, sure. What do you want? And I went, well, ideally, I want what I want for bringing it out here. And he went, fine. I said, look, and I actually said to him, I said, I'd even do it for less. He said, because I'm heading to Milton Keynes anyway, kind of. And he went, no, that's absolutely fine. Because you talk to people and you explain the situation and they know that you've done everything within your power and they know that it's not your fault and they go, yeah, this one's on me. Some of them won't. Most people are decent people, so I took it back, we took it off. I got 150 for driving it there and 150 for driving it back, and then went the 20 minutes home. Not a bad day in the end. And finally, David says, LOL, £80 for a day at Asda. Are you having a laugh? I have no idea how much. I assume that's how much you get to work in the day at Asda. Is it more or less? I don't know. But there is a bottom line where you kind of think, well, I'm driving this van for a living and I'm getting all the stress and all the aggravation. And to be honest with you, I know a few truck drivers said that. They went, I got so sick of being stuck on the naughty step for 4 hours. Oh, you're 20 minutes late. You can come in 4 hours' time. And being treated really, really badly. He said, now I work 9 to 5, Monday to Friday. I did 10 minutes. I'm not the night out tramping the night. And for the difference in money, it's not that different. So I think that's why the truck prices went up. So, and that's it. So once again, don't forget, Interior Design Masters, Wednesday, 9 o'clock with Alan Carr. We're all rooting for Molly. Shots week. And I did say I'd tell you at the end, can you marry your widow's mother's sister? No. Because if she's your widow, you're dead. Take care. Take money.